Benevolence, dear mortals. You can call me Whimsical William. Welcome to my channel. All right, we are approaching the end of the month. This month, I personally dedicated towards nothing but shoujo manga. I've read supernatural shoujo towards the middle of the month. That was the last thing I read. I thought it was incredible. And we are ending the month with musical shoujo. I want to let all of you know once again that shoujo isn't romance. You know, sometimes it's going to be supernatural, sometimes it's going to be mystery, sometimes it's going to be music, sometimes it's going to have shonen properties like fighting in it, which is really interesting. So I hate to see it. I hate to see people constantly thinking, oh, shoujo, it's for girls, it's romance. No, not at all the case. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of shonen romance out there. Kaguya-sama. You got a lot of Rumiko Takahashi works, and so on and so forth. A lot of romance out there is shonen. But let's not dilly-dally. Let's talk about this musical manga called Lokoro de Oro. Hopefully I pronounced it correctly. This is the manga in question. It's an older title, but I personally think it has incredible art. I've only read 2 volumes of it so far, but I really enjoy it. Let's show you some art. I think the art is ahead of its time. I think it looks great. You can tell it's an older manga because they try to make people who smoke look so cool. Look at this guy. Look how cool I am. I actually love the way the hair is shaded and the way that it flows on certain characters. Looks great. Let's talk about why I really enjoyed this manga. Now, I watched the anime. This has an anime. And it's pretty true to the manga so far. I don't even own all the volumes. I think it's like 17 volumes. I have 10 volumes. It's kind of hard to find some of the volumes. I'll buy them eventually because I just like having old, interesting manga in my collection. It makes my library unique. I have some titles in here that like people who have triple my amount of manga don't have, which is really cool to me. It makes me feel like I have unique taste. For this manga, I think it's really cool because for one, it's classical music, and 2, it's about the main character is not a musician. So you're trying to figure out, how do you have a story about music and the main character is not a musician? That's where it gets interesting. So basically there's a fairy who I guess like every 10 years or so, he makes himself known and he's like, all right, whoever can see me, I'll grant them the ability to play music, even though they don't have the ability to play music. So he just happens to see our main character and she's like, yo, no one else could see you? And she's kind of freaking out. And then he's like, listen, I got this magical instrument and you could play it. And she's like, I don't even want to play it. And keep in mind, they go to school that's separated. All the cool people, all the almost celebrity kind of children go to the music side of the school, and the other general education part, it's kind of like for the losers or like the real normal people. So like the musicians are superstars while the other kids are just normal kids. And she was fine being a normal kid. When she had the chance to go to the music side, she was a fish out of water. What is this? And she wasn't comfortable at all. Eventually she warmed up to being able to play music. The fairy is like, I got this violin for you. And she's like, violin? I don't even know how to hold it. And she grabbed it out of the case and immediately held it correctly. Super cool. And what I really like is a lot of animes and mangas that have music in it, they'll have a violinist not holding it properly. Like their wrists will be collapsed. You never want your wrist to be collapsed underneath the bridge of the violin. But her form, her wrist, her hands, the bow hold, everything was so accurate, which really made me appreciate the art and the mangaka. The mangaka actually studied violin just to have a better perspective on writing it. I always appreciated when an author or anyone really getting out of their comfort zone, doing something different, they research it before they, talk about it. They don't just talk about it like Twilight. Stephanie Meyer never read or watched any vampire anything, and she just writes a vampire book. I hate that. I hate that so much. Anyway, what makes the story really cool is at first she's reluctant. She's like, I don't belong here. I like music, but I don't know how to play it. I don't know anything about it. And then she starts to feel guilt because she gets entered in a music contest, and there's other people who want to be entered who didn't get the chance, who have been practicing and who play really well. And she's like, I don't know anything about music. I don't belong here. This should be for somebody else. And the fairy is like, anybody should be able to play music. Everybody should be able to enjoy music. The kanji, I think it's kanji or katakana, or whatever they said in this manga for music or something like that, was like enjoyment. So he's really pushing the enjoyment and the emotional connection to music, not just the technical aspect, which is really fun. She's warming up more and more and more. There's a character who's super rude in here. He plays violin. He's constantly like, get out of my way. If that's the best that you can play, you're gonna make this competition, crappy. And he's really rude. She's like timid, but she also doesn't let people disrespect her. So she's like, you shouldn't talk to me like that. So now she's like fired up to like play this instrument because the guy's being rude to her, and she's starting to realize how beautiful music can be. Because it's like she's never gave a second thought to it. Like, music has always been a background thing to her. It's never been at the forefront of her mind. So now it is. This fairy gives her this violin, and she's practicing with it, she's playing with it, and she can make nice sounds, but she hasn't decided on a piece of music to play. Now the rules of this violin are, it'll fix your intonation, it'll fix your stance, how you're holding it, your incorrect amount of bow pressure, and a lot of things that beginners do incorrectly. It's like training wheels, it'll help you do it right. But you have to know what music you want to play. It's not going to play it for you. So like if you are thinking about Mozart, you want to play Beethoven, it's not going to play Beethoven for you. It's going to play like a mixture of Mozart and whatever, Beethoven piece, you were connected to as well. So you have to be crystal clear and concise on what you're doing, how you feel about it, and how you heard it. It basically takes out the middleman when it comes to learning the piece. All you need to do is to just know the piece and enjoy the piece and be able to hear the piece, and you'd be able to play it with this magical violin. Her dilemma was she didn't know music like that, so whenever she played the violin, it would be random. Sometimes it would sound awful, sometimes it would sound beautiful, but it would be a far cry from anything musical. So she's kind of lost right now, and she wants to give up on the contest because, again, she doesn't really care about music like that. She was kind of thrown into this. She meets other musicians from the other side of the school, and she notices how passionate they are about their music, how rude they are about the practice space and the practice time. She notices another character has so much fun playing his trumpet, and they end up doing a duet together on top of a roof, which is super romantic and cool. And she's slowly realizing the power of music and how it connects us and how it makes individuals out of us. She has a friend on the regular side of the school. He's like the captain of the soccer team. Really big dude, really nice, really kind, and really just a stand-up, person. One day she's walking and she comes across a music store. She didn't know that music store was there, and she decides to walk in, especially after she hears some piano music playing. And she looks at the person on the piano and she realizes it's her friend who plays soccer captain. So she's like, yo, you play music? I didn't know it. He's like super embarrassed. He's trying to hide it. And she's like, why are you trying to hide it? You're really good. And the owner of the music store is like, yeah, he won competitions and he was, world renowned. Well, not world renowned, but he was locally praised as a great pianist. She's like, you should teach me about music. I need help. I feel lost. He's like, I don't play anymore. This volume is kind of like her opening up to music and trying to learn more about it and care about it. him coming out of his shell, because at one point he just quit playing. We're trying to figure out, as a reader, I'm trying to figure out what made him turn his back on piano, what hurt him, because every time, it's a sensitive subject whenever you talk about music in front of him. You can talk about anything and he's all smiles, he's super nice and outgoing, but you start saying things like, wow, I mean, it's cool that you play soccer, but aren't you passionate about music? You play so good. He starts to shut down and close himself up. And it's really a stark contrast to who his character has been established as. Throughout the first volume, half of the second volume, he's outgoing, super kind, golden retriever type of character. But he gets dark and gloomy when you talk about music. What happened to him? And that really makes you want to read past volume 2 and figure out why this character is like this. He doesn't really give you too much information in the second volume. He and the main character start to work together towards, her endeavor in music. And he slowly warms up to it. You know that there's going to be a connection with them because the main character realizes she needs an accompanist to help her with the performance. And some girl offers, I'll do it, I just want to be a part of it. You could tell she's being shady, like she's planning something. She's like, are you gonna try to ruin the performance? Are you gonna not show up so she's disqualified? What are your plans? Because she had like a cynical smile after walking away from her. After saying like, I'm gonna, help you out. I want to be a part of the performance. And she walks away like, she's planning something. So my guess is she's gonna do something super shady, and our guy is gonna come through like a knight in shining armor and accompany her, and they're gonna have an amazing performance. I don't think they're gonna win, but I think they're gonna really impress people. But based off the anime I watched, this happens. So if it's anything like the anime, that's probably what's gonna happen. He's going to warm up to music and start playing regularly again. And the cool thing, I'll end off with this about this anime and about this manga. I think you should check it out if you're into music at all, or fantasy type settings, or shoujo. Just watch it and read it because it's shoujo. The main character, slowly but surely, she realizes that the violin is losing its power, its magic, and she's having to put more of herself into the instrument, and she has to learn more techniques if she wants to play. And she starts to fall in love with the instrument, and the fairy is like, all right, you love the instrument, but how much do you love it? Would you still play if there was no magic? And she's like, yeah, but I don't want to embarrass myself by sounding terrible. And everybody's going to but everybody's going to wonder what happened to me. I still want to be able to make beautiful sound. And the fairy's like, well, if you really want to make beautiful sound, put in work, because this magic isn't going to last forever. You need to learn everything you could possibly learn about this instrument, and you need to really dedicate yourself to it, because music is for everybody, but it's also not for people not willing to try. So yeah, it's for everybody, but you got to give some of yourself away to it. It's like a fair trade. You get this beautiful language that anyone can understand. Only someone who can't hear, they're the only people that don't have access to this beautiful language. And even still, watching someone gracefully use the bow, even for someone who can't hear, is still a beautiful thing. Watching someone perform with the sound off and just imagining the sound is really interesting. It's a universal language, truly. When I watched the anime at first, I didn't like it that much. I thought like, this is a silly fairy tale, like this person magically has the ability to play music. I thought about it for a while and I rewatched it, and it's just like a beautiful opportunity for someone to throw themselves at music in a very honest way, to have prodigy-like skill and then be brought back to a beginner. Like, would your passion still be there? Would you really want to pursue the art and the technicality of your instrument of your choice? And I like the different instruments in it. There's like violins, there's a flute, there's a piano, there's a lot of different studies, a lot of different instruments, and the instruments are like adjacent to the personalities of the people playing them. It's fun. It's a great read, and you have the option to watch the anime if you want to hear the music, because a lot of people don't like musical mangas because they can't hear the music that's being played. I understand that. I feel that. I sometimes, if I don't know the piece that's being played, I'll read the chapter and then I'll look it up. Like, oh, this is Chopin Impromptu. This is Beethoven Symphony Number 3. This is Minuet. Whatever the piece may be. I'll look it up and I'm like, oh, okay. But a lot of times, I can really imagine the piece through the art and the panels, and that's really fun too. It exercises a different part of my brain. But if you're not that type of person, watch the anime. The anime is pretty good. Like, and it's got a couple seasons too. It covers a lot of story, got some arcs in it, great voice actors, beautiful music. It's a good time. Well, this has been Shoujo month. If you haven't read any shoujo or watched any shoujo anime, what are you doing? You should be ashamed of yourself. Do it. Go watch Nana. That's like a really popular one. It's incredible. It's amazing. Go read Honey So Sweet. Go read Paradise Kiss. I don't know. Check out some shoujo. It's fun. It's slept on. It's great. With that being said, thank you so much for listening to me ramble. And I will see you in the next video. I don't know what the next video is going to be about. I'm thinking all romance for the month of February. Just all romance mangas. Shoujos, shonens, seinens. Romance covers all of it. So Jose, you got Wotsukoi, that's a banger. We gotta do some anime figures, because I've been getting a lot of them, and I want to share them with you. I want to share this collection too. It's growing. I sold some, and then I bought some more. All right, that's enough from me. Until next time, if you haven't already, subscribe, because it's cool and because it helps me make more content and get me closer to 1,000 subscribers, so I can start podcasting with some folks about some nerdy things like video games and manga and anime. It'd be tight. Peace.